If you want to know more about how to market a new business, or you're thinking about starting a business and you have no idea how to get new clients, then I know this is going to be helpful for you, because when I first had business, when I first started in it, I first got things going, I knew nothing about the area of marketing. I'd been to university, I'd studied civil engineering, I went into a job as a quantity surveyor, and I did that for, I think, about 5 or 6 years. And I thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And I ended up going traveling, and I just had this incredible experience. And for the first time in my life, I tasted freedom. And if, maybe you're like me and you feel what I was like in that moment when I was working, I felt trapped and I felt restricted. And maybe you feel like that right now. And so I'd had this taste of freedom, and I thought, how can I have more of that? Right? What's the vehicle? How do I get more? How do I create more success? And ultimately, how do I have more fulfillment in my life? Yes, I was working as a QS. I had this stable, well-paying job. And when I truly thought about it, was I that fulfilled? Was I that happy with it? And could I see myself doing it for the next 40, 50 years, working for somebody else, working for somebody else's dream, getting to the end of my life and just being filled with regret? That's what I feared the most. It's like I've spent my whole life working for somebody else, giving up all my time, giving up holidays and all of that for somebody else to benefit from that and somebody else to live a fulfilled life. Meanwhile, I'd given up all the time and I'd missed out. I didn't want to get to the end of my life and miss out on all these experiences. And that's what really drove me to start a business, because I wanted more of that in my life. But fundamentally, there were so many skills that I lacked. When you go to school, there's no lesson on how to market your business, or how to manage money, or how to learn how to sell. There's none of that. Maths, physics, biology, that's all in there, but none of these practical skills when it comes to business. So at this point, I've got a skill. I enjoy what I found myself doing. I enjoyed coaching people, I enjoyed working with people. And I found that was something that I resonated with. I wanted to build people up, I wanted to empower people, I wanted to give them confidence, I wanted to help them feel good about themselves. And that's where I started. And the funny thing is, I didn't realize at the time everybody else was getting into coaching as well. I didn't realize at that time it was a cool thing to do. But that's what I resonated, and that's where my heart wanted to go. But again, I didn't know how to get clients. But now, being 6 years at this point, being in business, what I've realized is marketing is probably one of the most, if not the most important thing. Because if you're not marketing your business, so what that means is you need to tell people about what you do and how you help people. But the crucial part is you have to do it in a way that resonates with the person reading your content or listening to you or watching you, because that's how they see the world. That's their perception of things. They see the world through their view. And it starts with you knowing what is their problem. Because in business, the only reason anybody wants to hand any money over to you is if you solve a problem for them. If you help them solve a problem by giving them a solution. And if they value that problem being solved, then they will give you their money. If they don't value that and they don't see the value in what it is that you offer, then they're not going to give you any money. It's as simple as that. So you have to solve the problem. And that's why you have to, if you want to make more money, you have to solve a painful problem. If you think about the health industry, the finance industry, the relationship industry, think about how much money people spend in these areas every single year. I mean, probably around the world, it must be billions of pounds or billions of dollars, whatever it is. A lot of money is spent in these industries. So if you can tap into that and find a painful problem to solve, and it's all about the way that you articulate and you communicate your words. So for example, here's a crucial thing that I learned. If somebody's a massage therapist and they're talking about what it is they do and how they help people. And they can say like, okay, well, how I help people is, what I do is I help people, I help you loosen up your deltoids. And let's say they're using all the muscular, the proper scientific, biological terms for muscles and bones and joints. I don't know what they are, but those people do, right? They've studied it for so long. They know the industry jargon. They know what each of the muscles are called. To me and you, we have no idea. So that massage therapist, the person doing the sports massage, whatever they do, they can talk about the muscles and what their specific name is. But do you and I care about that? No. Does it resonate with us? No, because that's not the language that we use. That's not the conversation that we're having in our head. What is the conversation? Oh, I find my neck clicks, or I find I've got a really crunchy shoulder, or I find when I stand up, my knees start clicking, right? That's what people are saying. So now think about it, that massage therapist, they've started a business. Rather than talking about people's muscles that they help loosen up, why don't they say, hey, if you're somebody that's suffering from a crunchy neck or a crunchy shoulder or your knees crack when you stand up, we can help you. If you're in pain and your knee joints are clicking every time you're walking around, we can help you. Why is that powerful? Because that person is getting into the conversation that the prospect or the lead, the potential client, is having in their head. So marketing your business is about getting yourself out there, being visible, being vocal in everything that you do, right? Getting seen by people. You can't hide at home. You can't hide behind a screen and not do anything and expect people to come and pay you money. It's never going to happen. So that's the first level, is putting yourself out there. The second level is, like I said, communicate your words in a way that resonates with the person watching or listening. That's if you can get that right, what I found, if you can get that part right, it makes the journey so much easier, because people naturally, hey, hang on, he knows what's going on for me. He knows my problem. He knows my pain. And people will listen to you if they feel like you understand their problem. If they don't feel like you understand them, they're just going to carry on scrolling, or they're just going to move on, or they're never going to talk to you again. Because for all human beings, what do we want? We just want to feel listened to. We want to feel understood. We want to feel loved. We want to feel cared for. That's what we want. And if they can find a person like you to do that. And I found marketing so difficult. I found it, and I couldn't get my head around it because I hadn't clocked. I was trying to use all this fancy language, the fancy terminology, the industry jargon. But what I was struggling to get to grips with was putting it in a way that the customer or the potential customer would understand it for themselves. I think maybe it was Dan Kennedy or somebody, it was a famous marketer. It might have been somebody else. But they said you've got to interrupt the conversation that person is already having in their head. So that prospect or that lead, that potential client is already thinking over something. They have, whatever their problem is, let's say they're struggling in a relationship, right? They dread going home. They wake up in bed and they're worried and they're stressed and they're feeling anxious. They don't know whether their partner's going to leave them. They don't know whether they should leave their partner. And this is the stuff that they're thinking about all the time. And a great question for you to ask yourself is, what keeps them awake with that gut-wrenching anxiety at nighttime? And maybe they're worried about, like I said, their relationship, or maybe they're worried about money, paying staff, or paying bills, paying rent. Perhaps they're worried about their health. Are they going to pass away early? Are they not going to be able to walk their daughter down the aisle for their wedding? That's what they're thinking about. And if that's the point that you can start talking to, when you show up online or when you show up at networking events, wherever it might be that you go to, and you're talking about that, people are naturally going to be drawn to you. They're going to start listening to you. So I want to know from you, what have you learned from this? If you feel that somebody would benefit from this and they need to hear it, go ahead. it would mean everything to me to kind of spread the word out and help people, because there are so many people who start a business or they want to start a business and they don't know these things. And if we can just get the word out to other people, it'd mean the world to me, because you'd help me get the message out, and it would mean the world to that person as well, because from that they learn something new, and that can save them time, it can save them a lot of frustration, and I hope it saves you a lot of frustration and headache as well, because you can either learn it here or you can try and learn it on your own, and that becomes very, very difficult. So I hope you've enjoyed this, hope it helped, and I'll see you in the next one.